Guess who got brands talking? Brandlive.co.za.
Good morning and welcome to CWSA Today, the only show in sub-Saharan Africa that specifically looks at the protection of children's rights and the preservation of their safety and the protection of their development according, obviously, to child welfare standards. My name is Fredi, and I'm forever grateful to be one disseminating this crucial information to you. Children are the future, and we have to make sure that they are well represented, especially when they are unable to highlight their issues independently as of yet. Remember, you can find out a little bit more about child welfare by going to childwelfaresa.org.za, or if you want to get to know a little bit more, you have a request or a question, you can call them on 011 452 4110. During the past few weeks, we have been talking to some really influential people who work within child welfare South Africa, and today is no different. We're going to be talking to a person who promotes and protects and enhances the safety and the well-being of the healthy development of the child. And our guest today is Mr. Fredi, who is the Provincial Board Member of the Western Cape branch of Child Welfare South Africa. I'm so excited to be talking to him. We did have a discussion previous to the show a little bit, and he sounds so jolly and so fun. It's exactly the kind of person that would be working with children, and I can't wait to just get a little bit more information out of him. But before we really speak to him, we're going to take a short break, and we're going to carry on with child welfare straight after.
Brandlive.co.za.
Have you ever thought about the power of social media? Social media has the power to make your business grow. Yeah. Why don't you let us manage your social media? Because our business is to see your business grow. Visit us at www.beastdownmedia.co.za.
You're listening to Brandlive.co.za.
Yes, you're back on Child Welfare South Africa today, CWSA Today for short. If you have any questions, any queries, please go on Facebook, please go on Twitter and let us know what you're thinking, what you have questions about, and we'll try our best to get back to you. Just before we speak to Mr. Fredi, who is the Provincial Board Member for the Western Cape Child Welfare South Africa, I'm just going to give you a little bit of a reminder of why we do what we do and how long child welfare has been doing what they do. Obviously, it's the longest serving NGO in history in South Africa. It's so amazing that is a South African organization. They have about 151 child welfare affiliates, 30 developing organizations, 25 outreach projects, and 206 communities. And I think that's something that definitely needs an applause. Collectively, they reach about 2 million children, their families and their caregivers, and it consists of about 1,200 staff members and these special women and men who are volunteers, about 3,500 rather. So an amazing organization doing amazing work. And as I said before we started the show, we are speaking to the Provincial Board Member from the Western Cape, and his name is Mr. Fredi, and I believe he's on the line today. Good morning, Mr. Hans.
Good morning to you.
How are you today?
Oh, fantastic. It's a very good day here in the Western Cape, in Cape Town. Sun shining, 25 degrees.
Wow.
And that is just super today.
That sounds amazing. It's freezing in Johannesburg, but I will live vicariously through you. Can you just tell us a little bit more about yourself? Tell us a little bit about your history. When did it all start, this passion to be in a space where you're really working with children and preserving their rights? How did we get there? How did you get there? And why is it so important to you?
Yes, I was born in Cape Town and grew up in Mamre.
Yes.
And then since the age of 2 years old, I grew up on a farm very near to Hermanus in Karweideskraal.
Wow.
And from there, I moved over to Genadendal. That is also a very historical place, mission station. That is also in the vicinity of Caledon, Greyton. And I grew up there, starting my whole school career there,
Yes.
in the primary school. So I've been almost all my life was in the, as I a number of times said, from the flatlands in Afrikaans, platteland, from the rural area.
Yes.
So yes, and I grew up there, and I started training as a teacher here in Cape Town again at Hewitt Training College.
Yes.
And I've been in the teaching profession for 33 years. So, but since 2015, I retired.
Okay.
And early retirement. Still
Yes.
young,
Yes.
but still a bit of early retirement, just to think and to do something else.
Of course.
And I became involved more and more with child welfare within the Western Cape and this area. So, yes.
Wow, that is, yes. That's a lot of
Yeah,
experience
from-
with children that I'm hearing.
Yeah.
33 years.
A lot of children coming through. The
Yes.
education system where I was involved.
Definitely.
So, yes, for 11 years, I was also a principal at the primary school.
Wow.
And also deputy principal for 3 years. So, all my life I've been teaching and being
Yes.
involved with children because that is my passion. The children of our children within our
Yes.
communities and my
Definitely.
own children also.
Yes.
Yeah.
But then you could have gone into any space once after retiring. You could have opened your own, I don't know, tutoring. You could have done so much. Why
Yeah.
did you get into Child Welfare South Africa? What was it about the organization that said that spoke to you?
Well, you see, child welfare is really an organization that as you earlier mentioned and noticed, is really doing a fantastic and a marvelous job within our communities and protecting children
Yes.
and their rights. So, yes, that was right from the beginning when I was a teacher. That was actually my aim also
Yes.
to get involved with child welfare because the education system sometimes at that stage failed our children, I think.
Yes.
But yes, and especially those vulnerable, of the most vulnerable. As I stated earlier, that I was involved all my life within the rural areas and
Yes.
teaching farms and whatever. So child welfare is still busy doing that vital
Groundwork.
service within our communities, rural
Yes.
and also in the cities, in the city areas. So that is still where I will be finding myself till I part this world.
That is amazing to hear. And I know you're a part of the provincial board. You're a provincial board member. Now, I'd like to know what the provincial board actually does. What is the role of the provincial board in the Western Cape?
The role of the provincial board, yes, we are totally a number of volunteers being nominated and affiliated, first affiliated through your own organization's affiliates
Yes.
as a member, as a voluntary member. And then they nominate the members of your organization, of affiliates, to the board.
Yes.
And the function of the board is actually to facilitate working towards strengthening and enabling and empowering its members and affiliates and communities that we serve, also to develop appropriate services. So it's supporting all our affiliates' management boards, but also through that supporting our social workers who does a fantastic and seriously motivating job.
Yes.
So our biggest function is to support and strengthen and help wherever we can as a board to keep our management boards of all affiliates on board and assisting their social workers to do the job.
Definitely.
Consider.
I understand. So what is the value of the support? Because I can imagine that there's so much support that's needed, but I would really want to know in terms of it practically, how does that support look like? How does it manifest within the actual running of Child Welfare South Africa?
Yes, it is. We do go out as board members. We have specific board members designated to certain areas,
Yes.
demarcation areas, and we help them to build capacity. We go into to help and train and monitor, evaluate, and support those organizations and affiliates that needs our real support.
Yes.
And especially in the rural areas. I mean, these affiliates are really struggling with day-to-day value and day-to-day issues of leading and helping and sustain the organizations there within the rural areas.
Yes.
But not only the rural areas, also in our cities and so on.
No, definitely.
So that is where we as a board help and assist our affiliates through capacity building, through leadership, also finding some ways and means of fundraising, because that is one of the biggest, the biggest stumbling block for services within an NGO as such. Yes,
I can imagine.
So yeah.
And I wonder, because I know you have such a rich, background and history in the rural spaces. How many sort of new projects have you come up with that? Because obviously you have a specific expertise in that space where you know what is needed and what isn't needed and what is challenging the kids. I wonder what your role has been in really shaping the kind of capacity building that works for rural areas.
You see, yes. The main thing is, that people want to be, they want to volunteer their service and their time.
Yes.
And most of the time, those that volunteer their time do need some skills to lead the management committees and to become involved, especially in the field of fundraising. So we help them to find, that is the main business of us, the main project is to assist them finding fundraisers who can help them to raise funds. So that is one of the major projects that we are into, finding fundraisers on a commission basis.
Yes.
To focus specifically, to get away from just grants and subsidies and so on, to make the organization sustainable without depending on donations and grants and so on. So that is the major project that we initiate within the rural areas. Yes.
I love that. And in terms of fundraising, what are the projects that are the most important to your heart? I mean, what is actually going on the grassroots level for the children in the Western Cape and the rural spaces. What are the issues? What is it that we need to sort of look at? Be very concentrated in our efforts in.
Yes, you see, I'm now specifically speaking in the rural areas. There are not that many businesses, and they are mostly dependent on the farm work and those kind of activities. Yes. Okay. And that is also, you see, government only subsidizes, like for our child welfare and many NGOs within the sector of child protecting. They subsidize on the salaries, but the 25% of that of the total that we can use as administration. Yes. But we still have to come up with money to drive our preventative programs, because that is one of the major issues that we have to prevent before we not only catching these children that falls through the cracks. But yes, so we seriously trying to engage with people that has that passion of fundraising and yeah, so it is a very daunting task.
I can
to tell you that.
imagine. I can only
It's
imagine.
very challenging,
Yes.
especially within the rural areas.
Yes, and you'd think that people would just willingly give of their time and stuff when it comes to children. I wonder, what is the provincial board's relationship with CWSA's national board?
Yes, we look that we have a very good relationship with the national board.
Okay.
Because we are designated to manage and to assist and to all within Western Cape, within the provinces. So we are driving all the national projects and also provincial projects within our province. So that is one of the relationships. Our staff within the Western Cape still belong to the national. They are being like the salaries and so on are being paid by the national board.
Yes.
So yes, there is a very good relationship and a working relationship. We work within our provinces, and we are also the direct contact with the Department of Social Development within our province, like within the Western Cape and all the other provinces. They have the designation to be the direct contact with the DSDs within the provinces, Northwest and North or South Africa. So that is the relationship within child welfare with the national body and with the national board. Yes.
Amazing. So tell us a little bit about, so you're a board member. How did you become a board member? How does one become a board member provincially?
Yes, as I said, and I explained it earlier, you first become a member of the local child welfare affiliate. Okay. Then through that, you are being, whenever there is an AGM or yes, we call it assemblies, a provincial assembly, and there are vacancies. I think it's 2 years. After every 2 years, then the affiliates nominate the person. Like to me, they nominated me and others to serve on the board. And then there is like a democratic election at those assemblies, at those AGMs or biannual general meetings. So then you become a member of the provincial board.
Okay. Can you just tell me a little bit about the highlights since you've become sort of the provincial board member? What are the things that you have seen change? What are the things that you have seen, from your community that you didn't think were possible? Like, what are the highlights in your experience?
Yes, I think that the biggest change is actually the attitude towards child protection within our organization. I think that is a major change that we could turn around. Also turn around many of the strategies of the provincial programs and such, which through evaluation and monitoring, we could say, now this is not working, let's rather implement that. And then there is a turnaround of many of the organizations. Some of the organizations have been placed under administration because of the lack of capacity.
Yes.
And 99.9% of those organizations that was placed mostly in under administration was turned around. They came out of the administration. So that was also a total change for us as a board and experience. So yes, there is something that we do right.
Yes.
Just to change those things around.
That's lovely. Yeah. And lastly, what message do you have for South Africa for people who don't necessarily have an idea of what child welfare does, what they need to do to help support? What is it that you really want people to take away from this conversation that we're having today, sir?
South Africa is a marvelous country. I don't think we can doubt that. We are on our way seriously to be a country that is being reckoned with, can be reckoned with in the world.
Yes.
And I think that our children is really, they are the most important of everyone within our country. And I think that to become involved with child welfare and become a member, that would be putting your energy into to sustain that South Africa that we would like to see, and becoming a member, that would be the ultimate of your service to our contribution and service to our democracy and our country, South Africa.
Wow. I completely agree with you. So I think it's very important that people actually start, getting involved, and also just, maximizing their fundraising efforts, especially in Child Welfare South Africa at the moment. Thank you so much for your time. It has been an absolute pleasure speaking to you. And I really hope for the best for the provincial board members in the Western Cape.
Thank you very much for allowing the opportunity to speak to you and to the listeners. Thank you very much to you.
Thank you so much, sir. Have a great day.
Thanks. Same to you. Same to you. Thank you.
And that was Mr. Fredi speaking so brilliantly about the importance of not only fundraising, but also making sure that the work that they do does infiltrate the rural areas. I love the fact that he spoke a little bit about the rural areas and how important it is that they have some sort of good structures, and from an admin perspective and also from a fundraising perspective, from an upskilling perspective. Once you upskill your community, you're able to serve, the organization better. And I think that's what Mr. Fredi was also speaking about. I also find it so amazing that a lot of the child welfare affiliates, board members, entire organization has a background in either education or working with children. And I think that's very important, because I do find that a lot of the times NGOs are amazing and great, but you find that the people working in them don't necessarily understand what it is that they're working towards because of their different backgrounds. But I think with child welfare, you have this sort of amazing common narrative, which is, let's protect our children. Let's make sure they have a healthy development. Let's make sure that we enhance and promote their well-being. And that's what child welfare is about. And I got that from Mr. Fredi. You can hear the compassion in his voice. You can hear his passion. You can hear his drive. And it's just so inspiring. That concludes our show for today. And if you have any queries, please don't forget to go to childwelfaresa.org, and you can find out a little bit more about what projects are happening. You can get involved with the different affiliates depending on where you live in South Africa, and you can just get involved and you can contribute, as Mr. Hans said. Get into it, become a board member, become a volunteer. But you can only do that by following the pages on Facebook, and as well as going online and finding out what's happening on their website. Thank you so much for listening. It's been an amazing show. We'll be back again, same time, same place, only on CWSA Today with myself, Viwe Kyolwana.
Live from 27 boxes in the heart of Melville, this is brandlive.co.za. Harnessing the power of talk radio. brandlive.co.za. Guess who got brands talking? brandlive.co.za.